big group.
Yeah.
And he did feel sorry. But yeah, it's that baying mob mentality, and I think it was just made ramped up to 11 by the way they did it. And wow, I mean, what again? I was quite lucky because firstly, my internet was playing about on Wednesday morning, so I was a bit worried. Then I had a meeting going. Luckily, that meeting finished early, so I was able to watch the last 25 minutes, half an hour uninterrupted, and that was, yeah, what a time to do it.
It was. I think Harry Grant was brilliant and shows that
Definitely.
the Storm have, got something there that is going to be another generation of Queensland hooker for them, which is not a delight, but still. I think, yeah, Collins and Arrow, other than Arrow, should definitely have been sin-binned. They were great off the
Yeah.
bench, and I think the starting middles as well were awesome too. So I was surprised by it. But the big difference, I suppose, to the last game was the concussion situation. It struck Tedesco of the Blues this week rather than Munster of the Maroons, and almost like this week's performance combined with the fact that they lost so heavily last week when he went off dead early is probably why Munster got named player of the series, because the game they lost was the game they missed him.
Yeah, and I mean the big incident in the second half was the foul and all that. Do you think Adokar would have got there? Would he have scored a try? I think probably he would have done, but I don't think that was enough for them to give it as a penalty try because of the distance.
I was, yeah, of that same opinion, really. But almost to stop him getting there, someone else would have had to do a professional foul. It felt like so.
Yeah,
So I'm not. Yeah, it's a tough one. But we've seen players with that much of an open try line not convert. So
yeah,
yeah, and then still there still would have been the kick. It would have been squared up, wouldn't it? It would have been interesting. I think it wouldn't have been justified though over the piece, because I do think the Maroons were the better side. Aside from that Corey Allen error early on that led to the first try, I think they were fairly faultless. Really,
yeah.
certainly in their own end of the field, they did not put that much pressure on themselves. I don't think the Maroons, whereas the Blues, I feel like they did a bit. But that Tedesco incident, I do strongly feel like it's origin intensity or not. How can you justify Arrow staying on the field? At least not at least a sin bin for picking up a player. I mean, we had the McLaurin's got this big ban, hasn't he, for picking up a player who was injured in terms of his face was bleeding and stuff, but was not concussed and knocked out of the game. And it was a sort of gentle lift. This was a pick and drop. This was nasty. That to me probably was more significantly not the right call than the one on Adokar, where he had 10-12 metres to cover before he would get to the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it was. You don't want to see it, and I think that it was deserving of something on the field. To be honest, I think a sin bin would have been the minimum. I mean, you could have seen a scenario where a red card had been given, and it wouldn't have been that controversial.
I certainly think when everyone sat and watched the replay again after seeing a red card, they wouldn't have been like shocked by it. But I don't think the officials picked it up at the time because of the way that the play went. So maybe that was what played in his favour there. Fantastic finish from Val Holmes for his try, the diving one into the corner. That was a nice play as well. There was some great moments. I think more from the Maroons. So Jai Arrow aside, or Jai Arrow's lift and drop aside, they were the worthy winners of this series this year.
I think so. I think on the balance of things that they did well, and credit to Wayne Bennett.
Yeah, I still don't get it. How he's so inspiring for players. After watching the
Yeah.
GB Lions documentary. I wasn't inspired by him.
I'm yet to get to that properly, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that one at some point.
Right, so well done to the Queensland side. They've restored some state pride after an abysmal performance from their 3 men's professional sides this year for all but the last 4 weeks of the season from all but one of the teams. So yeah, well done to Queensland, and we now move on to our grand final prediction. Okay, the big game that this lengthy season has been building towards is finally getting played, and it's on a Friday night in Hull. 7:45pm kickoff on Sky. The coverage starts at 7 o'clock, and there's the Rob Burrow documentary before that, so do get your eyes around Sky Sports this weekend on Friday. But it's Wigan versus St Helens. It's 1 versus 2. It's French versus Coot. It's Lomax versus Hastings. It's Lockers versus Jammer.
Yeah, I mean, wow. What a grand final this is shaping up to be. I mean, it's so tight to call because you can see it going either way and it being a great game, whoever wins.
Definitely.
It has, there is no surprise in here. This is the 2 best teams over the entire ridiculously long season that have been consistent, that have performed, that have got threats from multiple players, multiple angles. There aren't any one-dimension teams here. This is the best of the best that we've got. This is absolute peak of the game.
I think the thing
I just don't know which way to go.
The thing with this as well is these 2 sides played the best game of the season so far. Maybe because of my sort of team winning that game in the end, I'm a bit twisted towards thinking it's the best game of Rugby League that I've seen in the world this year. Maybe that's slightly hyperbolic from me, but it was a very, very good, intense game of mostly controlled aggression and high skill. So I think we've got a real exciting one in proposition here, and it is a hard one to call. We did a poll, and as the weekend unfolded, the poll was up and down, but never a wide margin between the 2 sides, and the results of that poll in the end were that people voted that they think Wigan are going to win 46.3% and St Helens are going to win 53.7%. So Saints just edging the poll in the end. We had a few people comment as well, Tim, in response to the poll, so it might be worth going through some of these comments because some of them are good. They're all good. What am I on about? So Lee Whitnell said, the last game for 2 incredible players if Jammer can play after his head knock. We haven't covered that actually, have we? He should be clear to play because under the rules you can return to play on the 7th day, which the 7th day would be Friday. So assuming he didn't fail any other concussion tests after that, he is clear to play. But anyway, so he says last game for 2 incredible players. Because Sean O'Loughlin already has enough winners' medals, I'd rather James Graham got that elusive ring to finish on. If it's as entertaining as their last encounter, we all win.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's exactly my sentiment. If it's 3/4 as good as the last game, this is going to be a cracking grand final.
Yep, Dennis said, too close to call, grimacing face emoji. Should be a cracking final if the semi-finals are anything to go by. These sides are both the benchmark, and that's from a Hull fan. So yeah, Dennis sees these sides as the benchmark in his city. Dave Sinclair, at Dave Sinners, says, I've no loyalty to either side and thinks Saints deserve some silverware for their efforts this season, but part of me would like a Wigan win just to see truth-talking Mav go full Mav, winking face. Paul Savage at SavPlast60 said, depends who the ref is. I think Paul's a Hull fan as well. Ian Lowe at 37, so not as gracious as Dennis. but Funny all the same. Ian Lowe at 37.1 said, Jammer won't be available, will he, after failing the HIA? So we already covered that. Yeah, it looks like he is available. And Joe Firth at Furphy said, best two teams in the comp. Can't wait. Flexed bicep emoji. So yeah, it's almost a coin toss from the fans. Lots of different reasons that people have got for whatever outcome they want, which is quite entertaining as well. So let's cover the teams, I suppose, then, because from Wigan's perspective, Sam Powell was missing from the playoffs semi-final, whilst Jackson Hastings played really well. Sam Powell has had a fantastic season, and I don't think Wigan would go into this game without him in their side if he is available, and I believe he was under some sort of self-isolation protocol is what I've been told, but not by anyone official, so it's just rumour. But he didn't ever have any disease himself or anything, so he should be available. Sean O'Loughlin came through with that game, his first game in a long time, with no fitness problems there. Joe Greenwood will be available from suspension. He was playing quite well before he inexplicably went after Matty Lee's head in the last seconds of a game that Wigan had won. Unbelievable. But performance-wise, he probably has a claim to take on that bench. And Ben Flower, we don't know. I've not seen an update on his status yet, but he looked like he was done with the with the calf or the hamstring or something in his leg went bad anyway, and it looked like a muscle pull. So I'd wonder about Ben Flower, which it'd be a shame because that would be his last game for Wigan as well. Singleton and Bullock pick themselves the way they've been playing the last month.
I mean, Singleton has been a really he's probably been up there as signing of the year for the way he's come on. I think he's been. I mean,
him and Graham would be in that conversation, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
for sure. So that's the team selection. The back five is settled because Marshall and Manfredi aren't going to be fit. So Bibby will retain his place, and it's whether Harry Smith will make the bench or Joe Greenwood would make the bench. I think in the Ben Flower spot from last week's side. I think. Although then Sam Powell has to play, so someone else has to drop off the bench. Wait, 4 on the bench. Clubb, O'Loughlin, Smith and Greenwood, I think, might be Wigan's bench. That's Wigan perspective. For St Helens, James Graham is the concern, isn't he, with that HIA? But on the Super League Awards show, he didn't seem to be suffering any after effects. He didn't even seem to be suffering that much after effects at the time. So I don't know. He must have just had a really buzzingly strong day when he did his benchmark. What do you think, Tim?
I think he was. Let's be honest. There's no way that he's such a competitor. There's no way he's going to go down without a fight. He's going to be on that field and he's going to be bringing it.
Their only significant long-term absentee is Mark Percival, who won't be back in for this game, obviously, but Jack Wellesby performed pretty well there last week and in recent weeks. So that's their back line is set, isn't it? The half-backs are definitely set. No one can sort of shake Lomax and Farge. The one concern, other than James Graham, has to be Alex Walmsley. He a number of times got up a bit gingerly in the game, didn't he, on Friday night, and had ice on his knee when he basically spent the second half on ice.
Yeah, but he does often look more injured than he actually is. He's a bit like Joe Philbin, that he always looks like he's sort of hobbling when he's absolutely fine. So we shall see, but this is so hard to call. I'm going to say Saints, but I'm not really sure why. But I just think they might have more edge in terms of strike power, but it's paper thin call, and I think this could be one of the best grand finals we've done in a long time.
Yeah, I think if Saints can string a few long range efforts together, bang, 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 that can happen.